Hi, my name is Terry Lee. My Facebook group, let me try that without my voice cracking. My Facebook group is called Sweet Pea Papers, and the reason I mention it, well, is I would like for you to hop on over there and sign up as a member, but also when you're a member of the Facebook group, you get a step-by-step PDF on how to do this project, and it gets published when the last video in the series gets published, because I know a lot of people wait until the last one and then go through and make the project. All right, so, and it's my notes for to make it easier for me for step by step how to do it. So that's what you get. That's what you get for that. And we're going to be working on our envelope book with our kit called Dragonfly Flight by Janie B. And it's very, very pretty. And we know that because we've been working with it. Now, the first thing we're going to do is in the front, we have this large business envelope with the top loading pocket. And it opens up with a smaller envelope, a check-sized envelope. When you open that, it's got a pocket there, and we'll need to decorate the front and the back of this. Maybe put some pockets on. We'll have to go back and revisit that. And but I didn't want it. It was looking like I was going to have too many flips, just these kind of flips, for what I wanted for it to be a book. So I decided that on the back, I was not going to make it match because we have this envelope here. And so what I did was I took off the envelope that made it match in the front, the extra little check envelope with the flip. And I hadn't glued it down super good because we were going to paper over the top of it. So I was able to actually pull mine off. If you can't, or if you want to leave it on, just get out another check envelope. I was able to pull mine off, but you can cut yours off right here, because any paper that's left right here, or envelope flap that's left right here, we're going to cut the flap off these envelopes anyway if they have them left, and also it's going to be papered over, so it should be fine. All right, so that's how you end up with two check envelopes. We're going to be working on page 4, which is our CD page that has the CD-ROM cover. I was able to find a square note page, and I think it looks really pretty in there, and it's got writing on it, so there's that. I mean, writing lines on it, so there's that. You just have to kind of make sure when you put it back in, it's just a smidge. You have to, put it up just a smidge. It's just a smidge smaller than this, but it's definitely big enough for that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the paper off the page, and we're going to work on the paper and not the book. Well, we're working on the book, but you know what I mean. We're working on the paper out of the book. Another thing I want to mention is you may have noticed I have a brand new glass cutting surface that is just exactly the right size for filming the videos. And the brand name is Tonic Studios. It is not a Tim Holtz, and the reason that it's long enough for me to use it in my videos is because it's the A4 sized. So that means that everything on here is in centimeters, but that's okay. There is inches up the side, and there's inches here, and the inches here match up to that. So we're all fine and good. And measuring in centimeters is not that big of a deal. Plus, I don't usually use this surface for measuring, but I just wanted to show you because it's cool. And it was like $25 was all. And I almost want to say that it was $19 and tax. Anyway, the Tim Holtz one, the black one with the white workspace over here, is in the 50s. And it's not as long. Just a side note. And of course I put new contact paper that looks like barnwood underneath, and so now I'm all fancy, and now I can't talk to you guys anymore because I'm fancy. Anyway, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the check envelopes, and if they have the flaps on them, then and by flap I mean this part, if they have this part still on them, cut it off. All right, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to cut the envelopes down to size so that they fit across the page, and the width is going to come out to 5.5 on the envelopes, and on the papers it's going to be 5 3/8 because we want just a smidge for the ink. Now when I was re-inking these, because I had already inked mine and then I had to cut the end off, I accidentally inked the end of one in purple, so I redid. I inked this one in purple as well so that they would match, and I still don't have a problem with them being both in green and purple. It just makes it something different for this page. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set our papers, which are all cut, and I did forget to cut the 1 inch by 5.5 inch papers that we need for the insides of the envelopes. So let's do that real quick, and I apologize. So we need 5.5 long by 1 inch wide. We're going to need 4. Well, actually, we only need 2. I mean, you can do 4 if you like, but you really technically only need 2. This 1 inch is the hardest for me because you can't hold on to it. You have to put it where you want, and then put this down very carefully, and then hold it firmly, and then make your cut. And it's not crucial that it's exactly 1 inch. I just find that 1 inch is far enough in for when you cut your thumb hole, which is the reason we're putting the paper on the inside, so that you have paper and not the pattern of the inside of the check. And it just makes it prettier. And I found that 1 inch goes in far enough that when you make the thumb hole, or the thumb grab, or the thumb half circle, whatever you want to call it, that the background is pretty, and it covers the 1 inch, half of it, a half inch, because it's half of the 1 inch thumb hole punch. Whoops, which is this. So we left off where we were going to deconstruct the envelopes. That was our next step. Now, of course, when you trim it to size, one side is already cut. You want to make sure also that the where you cut the flap off is on the top, and that you cut the right side of the envelope off, because we're going to use the flap from this side of the envelope to make it open up. So we're just going to take the envelope apart, which is only glued on the left side at this point. We're going to open it up. We're going to take our 1 inch piece of paper, and we're going to glue it in. Can you tell by the change in my attitude that the lamp hit me in the head? And I already have a headache because I got my COVID shot yesterday. Or actually, the day before yesterday. Yesterday I was very tired. Today I'm tired. Not quite as tired, and I've had a headache. So just so you know, it's no big deal. It was my first shot, And the whole thing may be over by the time these videos get published, but you never know. Sometimes I don't do them in the exact order that I film them, if I especially like a project. Okay, so now I'm going to keep the covers that I want, because one is they're the same papers, but you'll see that one is cut a little bit different than the other, and that was just the way the paper was cut out. The leftover paper was cut out from when I had used it for the back of the book. I'm a little distracted now since it fell on my head. I'm going to set the papers aside. I'm going to deconstruct the envelope. And we're going to glue our 1-inch papers inside. Oh, and it also knocked my glue over. But the part about it hitting me in the head is the worst part. And knocking the camera off, which I didn't realize until I looked back. But I edited that part out, so you didn't actually see the lamp fall over and hit me in the head. Just, you know, because I figured that part was something you didn't want to see. So now we're going to reconstruct the envelope with the flap on the outside. So that means all we have to do is glue it here and glue it here. And of course not across the top, just the two sides. And I've numbered the envelope sides. And this one is number 1, and it has the better version of the picture. And on number 1, before we glue it, I was going to put a strip of glue down the center and divide this in half. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm using the pattern as a guide, and I'm going to glue right up to the top. Re-glue this. It doesn't look like it had enough glue on it. I tend to go a little light on the glue, just as a bad habit. Okay. With the flap out, paper in. This one glued in half to make 2 pockets. Now all we have to do is, you know, cut and ink the papers and then put the papers on. Side 1 is going to be your prettiest side of whatever papers you cut, because it's going to be in front of the other envelope. So I'm going to make you watch me glue, which I know is so exciting, because for some reason I'm having difficulties with my software. And when I put you on pause, it doesn't reconnect with the camera. So I'm having a little bit of difficulty all the way around today. All right, so that's our front of our envelope with the 2 pockets. This is the back. It's non-directional, so it doesn't matter which way we glue it on. However, the front one was, or is, because it's got words on it. So you're going to want to make sure that you glue that one right side up. Okay. Make sure it's centered. All right. I'm going to do this one real quick. This one we're not going to make two pockets out of, so we can just glue it. I'm going to glue the sides. Make sure to leave the flap out on the outside. Don't glue the flap back in. So we're just going to glue the sides. This is going to be the front. You want to make sure that it's right side up with the flap on the left. I mean, depending on the paper that you're using or the piece of paper out of this kit. Okay, I know my arm's in the way. I apologize. And your paper is going to cover that little bit that shows from the envelope. And it looks like this one, when I glued it together, that little bit of that paper is sticking out, so I'll have to trim that. So apparently that 1-inch paper got moved over a little bit. Double check this one. No, this one's fine. Okay, I'm going to glue the back. Everything's crash banging around. Everything's just set up temporary. Usually that lamp that fell over, for some reason, it's because the lamp itself, the ring light, is so large that the feet are not spread far enough apart to securely hold the lamp up. So I usually have it duct taped to the table so it can't fall over. Because in one day, I wasn't filming, I was just making something. I believe it was my book of verse. It fell over and hit me 4 times. If you get your glue on this glass, you can scrape it off with your fingernail and it comes right off once it's dry. I don't know about using acetone to clean it. Might make your glass foggy. Test it out on your mirror in your bathroom. Because it looks like I'm getting glue on here. So I really have to test it out. Since this is a cutting board, using a razor blade to get it off probably would be fine. I'm just talking about this while I'm doing the glue. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next page just so I make sure. I mean, I know how to do this. I just want to make sure I'm doing it in the easiest order for you. We're going to cut the thumb pulls as needed if you want them, but I recommend them. Okay, this one, the single pocket, is just going to need one in the center. So you're going to line it up halfway. Most of them have marks for the center and for halfway. Mine did, but they weren't very easy to see. See, now you see that paper on the inside and you don't see this pattern. Okay, now on this one we're going to need 2. Those are small. So let me turn around here, see if the 5/8 will fit in there. I believe the last time I did that it did. Yes. So you can use your 5/8. This one has marks too, or also. But I haven't used my marker too. I'm keeping my eye on that lamp when I do this. My tablet is sitting on the floor right now. Well, not on the floor, but on its stand on the floor. And that's why you keep hearing it ding, because it's on, and every time a Facebook notification comes on, then it dings. So that's what you're hearing. I need to turn that off because it drives me insane. Not that I don't want to see your comments and such on Facebook, but I would rather just scroll through the feed. Having a little difficulty getting this slide in there. I think I might have made this side smaller, so I'm going to unglue it, and I'm going to slide it in. I'm going to make the thumb hole in the center on this side, and then I will reglue this little teeny bit right here. I looked over at the camera to make sure you couldn't see the top of my head. Kind of rude. All right. So we can now put the paper clips away for a little while. Oh, we can't put the lid on the glue, but we can put the thumb pulls away. But in the front where we can reach them. Excuse me. Now on the page, we are going to put a pocket. So I just cut out a piece of paper. We're not going to really be able to put very much in the pocket, so it does not matter that it's going to be one of the tighter kind of pockets. There's no little fold unders that we glue that give the pocket a little bit of depth. We're just going to glue it straight on. Double check that there's not a directional pattern that you need to make sure. And this one with the dragonfly, I want it to go this way. So I'm going to put my finger here so I know not to glue that side. And I know all of you are yelling, if you don't want to get glue on the glass, don't glue on the glass. Which is a perfectly valid point. And I appreciate your input. The dogs upstairs are barking, so there's a possibility that my dog may start barking. Okay. So now, remember we covered the CD cover already. And it's going to open from this way. We had directional paper, so we had the dragonfly going up. That's why I wanted the main dragonfly going up in this picture. But first, we're going to glue these on so that they open. And I want to glue the larger pocket first because I want it to be underneath the one with the two pockets. So you need to decide where you want them. They're going to overlap. I thought this was kind of a cute idea. So you need to decide where you want them. Yes, you're going to see a tiny bit of that envelope pattern, but there isn't any way to really get around it. I am going to put a little bit of the purple on it and see if that helps cut it just a little bit. Not really. I have a solution to my problem with the gluing and possibly the inking on the glass. Ooh, that was like a chalkboard noise. I gotta remember not to do that again. All right, so we want to put this one on, but we don't want to put it so high that when you put stuff in the pocket, it sticks out of the top of the page. All right, so they're going to open up. So it's all right if they block this lower pocket that we just put on. So I'm going to put this one down here. And you're going to want to make sure they're even. And I'm going to put this one, I'm going to put this one right here. So now I want to flip them over. And we want to glue them to the page. I'm just lining this up a little bit better. And then we'll check the front. We'll have a minute or so. I think this one might be a little too tight. You want them to lay flat. Oh no, look at that. Worked on the first try. Okay, now we're going to put the CD cover on the other side. We're going to put it in the middle, and it'll cover most of those pockets, those two pockets. Okay, so we're going to put this where we want it. Looks like it came unglued a little bit. Oh no, I just didn't glue over far enough, but anyway, it'll be fine. I'm going to put this up to here, make sure it closes. See that bounces a little bit. So it needs to be back just a smidge. We're going to glue it in. Hopefully we won't need to close it with a Velcro dot, but we might. We could put the dot up here. Okay. And we're going to hold the flap. We're going to flip it over. We're going to lay it out, and then we're going to glue it. Make sure everything stayed in its place. See, that had slid out a little bit. So we'll push it in and make sure the glue sticks. Glue stick. And then now this looks empty, but what we're going to do is in this large pocket, we're going to put some coffee dyed paper so that, you know, and slide it in there so that it's like stationary. Okay? We're going to decorate the envelopes in the back of the CD cover. We're not going to do that on camera. I'm just telling you that that's what you need to do. I will show you how I ended up decorating mine. All right, so the only thing left to do is to glue this in our book on page 4. And because we have all this stuff on here, you want to make sure to leave or use enough glue to get it on. Plus you want to cover these CD flaps and envelope flaps really well to make sure they stick to the page really well. This is almost like doing an altered book by decorating the page and then putting it down. A little bit of shirt drag through the glue. That's why I'm wearing my work shirt. Wow, did you hear my shoulder pop? If you didn't, my shoulder popped. Let's make sure to get our ribbon out of the way. Make sure it's even with the paper on this page, on page 3. Make sure everything's glued in. Give it just a second to grab since we put extra glue in there. So now we've got this page that opens, this one opens, then that one opens, and then that one opens. And I will probably put a small pocket across the back as well. And then we have this pocket here, and what's in this pocket, you could put a couple of large tags as well. That's a good idea. If I do say so myself, and put some small ephemera tags or whatever in there. And I don't mind the fact that this is not exactly even. Looks fine to me. The stair stepping is fine for me. If it's not for you, then make sure that your whatever you're using lines up exactly. You got the 2 pockets. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is in the center. Maybe I should have done this first. In the center on mine, you can see there's a gap where I glued the envelopes together. I'm going to put a piece of ribbon down this so that you don't see it. So we're going to put some glue. Now you may not need to do this on yours. If you glued yours better than I glued mine, you may not be able to see this center part. Make sure you don't glue your book shut. That would be bad, to glue the center shut. You would lose 2 pages. Okay, so I'm going to lay this down, and just like I did before, I'm going to make sure that this thicker part of the ribbon is where the glue is, and I don't have my fancy gizmo. It's on the floor in its container, so I'm going to have to use my fingers, and it's not working very well, to get the ribbon down in there. I may let the glue dry and then off camera use that rubber tool. I found some smaller spatula like ones on Amazon for like $10, and for I think $15 I found a bigger one, sort of like the one that I use. And I want to make sure this is straight, so I think I need to make sure this edge of the ribbon is up. Now I'm not sure if my glue is already dry or not. Obviously, when I'm super concentrating, I stop talking. So, write that down. Terry actually does stop talking when she's super concentrating, but I do still talk to myself all the time at home, here at home, and I also talk to my dog all the time. Now, I left just a little bit, and I'm going to trim it on both ends. We're going to let that dry. While that is drying, I'm going to set it over here out of the way. Now, the next thing we're going to do is make a notebook, which is very easy. This is the size of one of the kit pages, folded in half. So I trimmed it, and I inked it, and I inked this part here, and I inked the other side, which I didn't ink the middle on the inside. Not sure that I need to. It's on the inside. The paper's going to be there. You know, I could fold it this way and use the purple. Wonder, maybe I should use the green, even though the edge is purple. The purple's a little dark on this, so I think I'm going to use the green. And I'm just going to ink down it enough so that you can see where the fold is. And you could use this side for your notebook too. Just make sure you print your paper on both sides when you're doing this. I do one directional for my cover, you know, like a directional page that you have to have it a certain way. Then on the back I use one of the backing papers for the kit that is non-directional. Now, I do have a printer that will print on both sides at the same time, and I can set it to what direction it changes the picture. So I can do it right side up and right side up. However, half the time I forget to fix it that way, and it prints upside down on one and right side up on the other, which is very irritating. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take some coffee dyed paper. You're going to have to trim it down to this size, a little bit less. Then all we're going to do is we're going to lay these in here. We're going to take an extra long piece of ribbon because we're going to be able to slide the notebook in and out. Now, the ribbon hasn't dried in the center here on the book, but I'm just going to tell you what we're going to do. All we're going to do is we're going to tie this ribbon around the outside of the book, across the spine on the outside. I'm planning on putting the bow where we tie it at the top. You can do it wherever you like. So we're going to tie it. And we're going to make it tight enough that it holds the notebook in. We're going to slide the notebook underneath it, just like that. I think, well, that feels dry. So let's go ahead and tie our ribbon. I want to make sure that my ribbon isn't twisted in the middle. Okay. Then I'm going to tie it. Doesn't matter where the bow is when you tie it. Make it snug enough that the notebook can slide in and out easily. Now, this is why I'm bow tying it. So I can actually just untie the bow and take the notebook out as well. I don't tie very good bows. But we will pretend like I do. We're going to flip it over, and we're going to take our notebook We're going to slide it underneath, in between the ribbon, of course, in the center of our book, covering up the spine and this ribbon here. I just keep catching the corner of that paper. There we go. We're just going to slide it in here and then close the notebook. We're going to make sure that it fits okay, which it does. The page size is fine. And then we need to decorate these 2 pages still. So for now, we're going to take the notebook back out and we're going to set it aside. We're going to put it with our booklet. Okay? So that's all we're going to do in this video. So just quickly, we did this page here with our CD and our 2 envelopes that flip out with the pockets in them. And then we did the notebook for the center, we did the ribbon in the center, and we did the tie-on ribbon to hold on the book. And even though this ribbon is in the center, I can just pull it, and I'm going to put the ribbon at the top. I'm still going to have to probably take the ribbon off and trim those end pieces, maybe not, because I can use them to help protect the top of this so that you don't want to tie it so tight that it makes a little rip in your envelope, because it's not a hard book cover or anything, it's just envelopes. So then it'll look like this, or on the very edge, depending on how you put it on there. Make a better bow than me. So this is the front. So I'll bring it around here. And you make the bow where it goes like that. And so that's how it's going to look. And then we're going to decorate. So that's my plan. And then we'll tie this into a bow. Okay. Now, if you don't like using the ribbon, you can always use some sort of a tie that is embroidery floss, or you can use bookbinders thread. You can use actual thread. You can sew it in. You know, there are a number of different ways you can do it if you don't like having the double ribbon on the inside. Okay? All right. I will see you in the next video, which will be video 6. And that'll be just a second for you and a day for me. Bye-bye.